Well, cheer up. I'm the last presenter here, and I'll be as quick and as crisp as possible. Let me introduce myself. I'm working with Professor Dinesh Mohan, and I am the PhD final year student. So my work is completely technical, but of course I have fused, I'm chemist by profession, but I have fused the chemistry with my environmental techniques and environmental technology. And I have tried to develop a material and synthesize a material that has the capacity to remove arsenic, which is one of the hazardous heavy metal that has been found in the water. So in the next coming few slides, we will be focusing and will be showing that how this material was being synthesized in my lab and how we are planning to utilize it to provide the safe drinking water for the purpose. So this covers the three main terms: the arsenic-free remediation, the developed biochar composites, and of course the agricultural wastes from which this material was being synthesized. So these are the news clippings that actually are showing that how the arsenic polluted water is linked to cancer in India. Now the worst aspect with the arsenic heavy metal in comparison to other of the heavy metal is that most of the heavy metals have their sources lying in the industrial origin, etc. But as far the arsenic is concerned, so it's a geogenic in origin. Means it is coming from the rocks directly into the water, and this entire Gangetic Brahmaputra plain is severely affected with this. And because the prime source of drinking water to the population that is living in this belt is the groundwater, so getting affected with the arsenic by these people is very common. So the things came into the focus when WHO reported the huge number of deaths in Bangladesh, and finally it was observed that the shifting of the seepage of the arsenic from the rocks in the water is actually going upwards towards the Gangetic Plain, towards the Himalayan region. So there are several possible theories that have been said that because there are several questions like the rock belt is since the origin. But what's the changes in the chemistry which has actually making the arsenic now coming inside the water? So there are several theories that are coming, but no specific theory has still been found that can say or that can predict that yes, these are the reduction condition with which the arsenic is actually coming out. One of the possible reasons that has been said so far is the decrease in the groundwater level and the excessive use of drinking water from the ground has actually caused the seepage of the arsenic from the rock belts into the water. So this is the entire belt. The red color is showing. Now 10 ppb is the permissible limit that has been prescribed by the World Health Organization. 10 ppb, I can say that out of 10 lakh balls, the one ball concentration is the 10 ppb. So the number of balls that is exceeding this one ball, it means that it's the dangerous zone and it is going to cause the cancer and finally the death in the long cases. Now the Bihar and the part of the eastern UP are severely affected with this arsenic contamination. The villages have become emptied, and the people are actually either ordering for the water tanks that are providing them the drinking water, or the poor people are actually vacating the villages because of this severe arsenic problem. Another problem, as we all know, that in the just few months back, not even few months back, few weeks back, Delhi was suffering from severe air pollution problem, one of which was the stubble burning problem by the farmers being carried in the nearby states of Punjab and Haryana and other states. And the newspapers were filled with these things that what is the possible solution? How can we prevent this stubble burning so that the air pollution can be prevented? So you must all be skeptical why I have taken these two cases together. The reason is that the material that we have developed is actually encountering both these problems into one. The problem of how the disposal of the agricultural waste, which is actually subjected to open field burning, and the second, the deaths that are being caused by the drinking of the arsenic contaminated water. So I have tried to derive the material, not tried, we have successfully prepared the material from this agricultural waste product so that it is not left for the open field burning, and then utilized this prepared material to remove arsenic from it. So the two problems and a common solution, that is a developed biochar composite. Now, we must have heard about the charcoal. Now, what's the biochar? Biochar is not at all a new technology. It goes back to thousands and thousands of years back. And unknowingly, people were using it in a way of the slash cutting and burning farming, where they used to burn the biomass or burn the trees or burn the organic forests and leave the land for some years. The reason was that because some amount of this sort of charcoal or the biochar material used to develop in the fields that used to reclaim and regenerate the fertility of the soil. So what what is there in this biochar that is actually making this particular thing so much useful that it is able to provide the fertility and the nutrient back to the soil, that it has the capacity to bind carbon dioxide in it, that it has the capacity to bind heavy metals in it. The reason is simple. It's a very basic chemistry because they are all the organic material and they comprises of cellulose, hemicellulose and lignin. So when they are subjected to high temperature heating in minimal oxygen, so that's the basic difference between a charcoal and a biochar. Biochar is produced when we burn any of the organic matter in controlled condition of temperature, very high temperature, and in absence of or in a very minimal supply of oxygen. But the charcoal is an open burning of any organic material. So when we are burning it in the absence of oxygen or in an anoxygenic condition, we ensure that the product or the organic part is not changed into ash, and most of the material, the cellulose and the hemicellulose, they get broken up into the bonds that actually change them into the caged structure, which actually possess the capacity to bind heavy metals or other contaminants over them. So when we burn biomass, we have three byproducts. The bio oil is also a green oil. We are working on that as well because they can be used in several cosmetics, and they are now being used as a green fuel in running the vehicles as well. The experiments are taking place in several of the universities in US as well. As far as the combustible gas is concerned, we reuse this in generating the heat, which can again burn the biomass to generate the biochar. So it's the completely sustainable product. But depending upon the residence time, the temperature, it's all the chemistry, the pressure, heating rate, and method, biochar can be varied and its property can be enhanced and modified. Now, the biochar has the capacity to sequester carbon dioxide. Now that's the huge long chemistry, but because I'm right now focusing on the water, so I'll be telling how we have utilized this material for removing the arsenic from the water. So my methodology was first the synthesis of this biochar, rheob and veob. The agricultural product that we have used is the rice husk and the wheat husk. The reason was that because this belt is majorly producing the wheat husk and the rice husk. So we thought, why not to take the byproducts from agricultural waste product from these two main staple diet crop and utilize this product for producing the biochar. The first phase of study was the characterization. This is the chemistry part, where we go and check every detail of that developed material to check whether the material is successfully developed. We check its surface area, the porosity, the magnetic moment, the surface chemistry, mineralogy, and everything. And the second phase is the optimization study. The concept for the optimization studies is that we first ensure that our material can work in the field over which particular maximum pH, at what particular temperature, in what concentration, in what dose amount. So all those experiments first we conduct inside the laboratory, and then we bring the samples outside from the field, and when in those optimum conditions, we conduct the experiment. So they contains the pH study, the kinetic, and the analysis of other models as well. So what I have done in the synthesis is that we have taken rice husk and wheat husk, is the simple 24-hour soaking in a ferric chloride solution. Now, why I have taken the ferric chloride solution, that also I will be telling. The reason is that because arsenic is actually binded in nature with in the pyrite form, means with the iron. So we thought, why not to use this iron over the biochar, so that the biochar will provide the surface area to this iron, And at the same time, the iron will bind the arsenic along with the biochar functional group. So it will enhance the characteristic property of that composite to absorb that. So we actually soaked it and then kept it in the muffled furnace, slow pyrolysis under the controlled condition of 600 degrees Celsius for about 1 hour of a residence time period. And the material that we obtained was rice husk iron oxide biochar, which was shorted as REOB, and with the wheat husk, the VO1. So this is the possible diagram that would have happened, that biochar and iron oxide would have generated, and they have formed the composite. These are all the pictures. So I'm like, we'll try to skip them. These are the surface pictures of the rice husk, means the developed REOB and the VO1. So we can see that the porosity have increased. Why? It's a simple chemistry, because once we are taking it under the high temperature treatment, all water molecules will get dehydrated, will leave the material porous. Now when the porous material will develop, it will provide the surface area for more and more reactions to take place, and will also provide with more and more functional group and the caged structure so that it can bind with the heavy metals. So these are all the same micrographs we do at the microscopic level. Now to confirm that iron has deposited and in which particular form, we go even further detailed analysis by using this TEM micrograph. So we can see the hexagonal structures. Those hexagonal structures are actually the particles of the iron oxide that have actually deposited over the surface. The zigzag structure are actually the lattices which confirm that yes, these are the crystals of some particular oxides that have been deposited over this. Then these are the diffraction chemistry, that's all the hardcore chemistry that we do. We also check the mineral component of each and every biochar so that we are ensured that once we are putting them into water, the material is safe. Or this thing doesn't happen, that some harmful metal also starts coming from the biochar into the water. So we do every form of study over this. This is the XRD pattern to confirm that yes, the peaks that were coming actually were similar to that of the iron oxide and the other minerals that were favorable in absorbing the arsenide. This is the magnetization study. We make the material magnetic so that we need not to filter it. We can simply apply the magnetic field, and once the arsenic is removed, it will be pulled out by the application of the magnet. These are all the FTIR analysis. These are all the functional group that we study and the changes we see after and before adsorption. This is all to study the deeper chemistry, the XPS analysis we all do. I'm skipping all these slides. So the conclusion for this particular part is that yes, biochar composites were being successfully synthesized, iron oxide was loaded. These were the oxide of the iron that were possibly deposited, having a high surface area and porosity. These were the minerals and all those things. The optimization study had the pH. Now pH is actually the acidity of the water. The reason is that we identify the pH so that once our material is ready and industries come, the very first question that they ask is that, what is the pH condition of the water where we should conduct the experiment? And our objective is to provide them with a neutral range so that they needn't change the pH or the pH of the water. So the best part was that this operated in between 6.5 to 7.5 pH. And then we conduct the dose study. We take different doses and we find that the maximum removal is taking place over which particular dose, which particular concentration. And then we do the modelings and the fittings. This is all the chemistry part to identify the chemistry that the adsorption is taking place by the chemisorption, electrostatic force of attraction is involved, or it's a simple bond formation, so that if the weaker bond formation is there, we won't be preferring that particular material. We ensure that the bonds are strong so that once it's binding the arsenic, it is not releasing it again back into the water. So the capacity of the material from all those studies came out to be 96.14, means this was the percent removal I will be telling you about in the percentage removal. 85% of arsenic was being removed by the rice husk, and 95 to 99% of removal was being showed by the wheat husk iron oxide biochar. So these are the conclusion of the optimization, that once if the industries approaches, then the material should be used between 6.5 to 7.5 pH. These are the doses, and this is the temperature at which the maximum removal of the arsenic is going to take place from the water. Now this is the simple mechanism. I won't be going into the detail of how the iron oxide is actually binding the arsenic. I'm also skipping the slide because it's very chemical. Now, what is the industrial applicability of this material? It's very easier, and our prime objective was that the material has to be as low cost as possible, because the arsenic problem is being dealt by the people who are very poor and they can't afford even to have a morsel of food. So we were trying to produce with a material that can be as low cost as available. Second, it can be implemented for more compact treatment devices so that it does not require a huge plant or a huge construction or a huge industry to be operated. And what nanocomposite biochars could be utilized for developing modified biochar candles or the columns. Candles is the filter candle. So we are also working on how we can work in coordination with the industry or something so that they can come forward with us and we can work in coordination with them to work and obtain some candles that can be fitted directly into the water coolers and filter, and there is no need for any setup of the plant or any industrial thing. It's very light in weight, portable, highly stable, and we can utilize them in simple tea bags, like the dip tea we use and we put it in the water. Similarly, the biochar tea bags can be prepared. You can simply put it in the water, which contains the arsenic. Say, for example, 15 minutes or 24 minutes, depending upon the research we have done in identifying the time. Remove that tea bag, and the water is safe to drink. So, and the magnetic property that we have actually made it magnetized just because so that once it removes the arsenic, we are not running that we have to take the strainer to separate it. In huge plants, by simply applying the magnetic field, the material can easily be sucked in and can be brought out. And this is the sustainable solution for agricultural waste mitigation, because the stubble burning problem can easily be solved once these waste products, instead of providing them for the open field burning, can be utilized for producing the biochar. So the sorption efficiencies of the arsenic-3 was quite good in both of the material that we have developed. Now my lab is not only working over the biochar for the arsenic, but it is also working for fluoride removal, lead, chromium, cadmium, copper, and it had generated huge number of paper. Not only with rice and wheat husk, we have worked even over the banana peel, the corn stover, the hairs, the tires, means the whatever organic content that we can get, we have we are performing, and we have conducted a huge number of studies over that. Not only this, but we have also utilized the biochar in CO2 sequestration, in increasing the soil fertility, in checking the plant growth, and in water remediation and soil enrichment. Now, we know that our famous scientist has said that if only the real sense of education could be realized by each individual and carried forward in every field of human activity, the world will be so much a better place to live in. The proposal, when was being sent by Dr. Garg, was being actually sent to my professor. But then a professor came to us, and then he said to us, and he motivated us, that you are the young researchers. There is a lot of time that we have performed our experiments in the lab. Now it's the time that we should go out and we should inform the people and we should tell them that we are doing something. And probably with their help and with their collaboration and with the joint nexus, we can get an opportunity. We can also find some other substitutes. We can also generate new possibility. Let's replace this word of education with the research. Let's bring out this research from the one being carried into the lab, being compiled inside the PhD thesis, to the field work, so that it can be utilized for the betterment of the human. And researchers will rot inside laboratories if they don't get out over the fields to be applied for everyone's welfare. I would really thank Dr. Gertz that he provided me the opportunity to be present amongst several big dignitaries to offer my work. And because as a researcher, what I do is that I am always amongst the research people only. But to get the research completely fulfilled, until and unless the industries, the government, and the people are joined together, it won't be making any sense. So the scientists, industries, and the government, this is the three-way compact. along with the economical aspect, and everything has to be that the NGOs have to come forward so that they can take that technology to the grassroots levels, to the people. This is a professor, and that in the recent newspapers also, our work was being published. He's quite serious in this picture, I don't know why. This is my lab. Of course, my second home. We are actually right now working in collaboration with Mississippi State University and the Australia as well. My second home, of course, Holy Celebration. Thank you so much for everyone's motivation to bring us up here, and welcome for the suggestions and questions. Thank you so much.